Well, I'm delighted that I can now talk to my next guest in person. We've been talking, Mark, on Skype, and it's been a revelation, I think. My most viewed video of the month at the minute, which just shows you the amount of interest in dentistry. I mean, everyone's got some issues and everyone's been tentatively waiting to hear the good news. Here we are at your place down Dallasala. Before we started this, by the way, we saw file upon file of all the things in the processes, and life's never going to be quite the same for some time, but you've got yourself ready anyway.
Yeah, we've gone through, I mean, all the dentists on the island have worked quite closely together. We've worked with the Department of Health and Social Care to get an operating procedure and protocol in place so that we can open the practices safely. First of all, primary for this is for the patients and then the staff. We think we're nearly there. We're almost ready.
Well, you took through the process. The first thing you do, you ask anyone that comes in if they've got any symptoms, sniffles or colds, and at that point they'll be asked to go if they have got anything, of course. Yeah. But arrows on the ground, sanitizer, all these sort of things.
Yeah, I mean, we will. You've got to remember. We're still healthcare, so there is the possibility that we might have someone who's unwell. They may be unwell for lots of reasons. It doesn't have to be COVID. But the first sort of thing we're asking patients and sort of people not to do is not to just walk in, not to sort of turn up at any of the dentists on the island. So the important thing is to phone or email first. So then you'll go through a series of questions, or you'll be asked a series of questions, COVID questions, and if everything's okay with those, then we'll be able to sort of book you in. When you come to the practice, some of the practices are saying, please wait in the car park, please ring the doorbell, then you'll be let in, you'll be asked the same sort of questions again, so there's like a double check, and then eventually when you're brought into the surgeries, you find the dentist and the dental nurse will ask you the same questions again, so it's like a triple check.
Now in the past, I know you'd go out, you greet your patient, bring them in. Yeah. That's not how it's going to be.
No, it's not going to be that way this time. Again, the receptionist will do a lot of the pre-surgery sort of talks and procedures, and then the dentist and the dental nurse will both be, depending on which procedure we're going to carry out, but we will both be fully gowned up. They may have sort of hairnets on, but the chances are they'll be fully gowned up. They'll have a particle mask, a face shield, gloves, and again they may have overshoes on. And
can you do all work, including the bits that use water droplets?
Right. At the moment we're trying to limit everything, or we're going to limit everything to sort of urgent and essential care. So if someone's had a filling that's been waiting for 3 months, if someone's got toothache, we can now get them in, or we can now, we can pick up a drill, and with all the protective gear involved, we can now treat them. There are certain things, the sort of routine sort of care at the moment we're sort of limiting. So unfortunately, we can assess problems and we can assess emergencies, but the standard sort of checkups and the standard scale and polishers, those at the moment are on the back burner. So they are going to be delayed for a little while longer. Hopefully not too much longer, but a little while longer.
Last time we were talking about this whole thing about the cleaning aspect and thing, you were thinking maybe only 4 patients a day if you went to that limit. Have things got easier in the turnaround?
Yeah, there's 2 types of treatment. We have what we call non-aerosol generating exposures or procedures and aerosol generating procedures. And it's a little bit of a contentious issue because certain people think there's more of a risk when you create an aerosol, so when you use a dental drill. And a lot of the science doesn't back that up. A lot of the science says, no, actually, there isn't the risk involved. But we're erring on the side of caution. So what will happen is, if a patient came in for a standard filling, they'd come in, they'd have the filling, let's say that takes 45 minutes. They would leave, and then we would then leave the surgery, what we call fallow. So we'd leave the surgery to rest for sort of 20 minutes. The windows would be open, the air conditioning is switched off, but the idea is to change the air inside the surgery. The nurse can then come in and deep clean the surgery so that we can then get the next patient in. So the problem there is you might have 45 minutes of treatment and then half an hour of kind of dead time in the surgery. So that's going to reduce the number of patients you can see by about half because...
you've been closed, you've not been making any money on that time, and now you're going to have a reduced amount of clients. And I presume it's private mostly, right?
Yeah, so we're fully private.
Right. So you need to make money. I mean, I'm not being vulgar about this, but you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, At the moment, everyone's in the same boat. You know, it's you think of the hospitality industry, and you think of the sort of knock-on effect across the island. So it's not. You know, we're not here to say, well, give us the sympathy. You know, everyone's in the same sort of situation. So at the moment, the priority is treat the patients, get them out of pain. But we're at a situation where if we keep our heads above water, that's fine. You know, we know this won't go on forever. As things change, as COVID is kind of controlled more. I mean, I know we've done a brilliant job on the Isle of Man. It's fantastic. But as the borders will eventually open, we need to be in a situation where I know that my staff are protected should a patient come in with it. So that's the situation that we're in. So eventually, you know, we'll start to see more patients, and then, as I say, profits will go back up.
So you don't need to put prices up or things like that?
Right. Now, what we haven't done is put the prices of the fillings and the treatments up. A lot of the dentists across the island, we've all got together and we've all said the same sort of thing. You know, nobody's trying to profiteer from this. The big problem we've got is the price of the protective gear is astronomical at the moment.
Are you getting it okay, by the way?
Yeah, we have a controlled supply from the government. So, and again, don't forget, it's very valuable. Not from a price point of view, but just from a resource point of view. There isn't the protective gear in the world available. So the Manx government, rightly so, is kind of saying, well, you know, what are the essentials? You know, who needs it the most? So it's coming through to us now, and they've given us a supply. One problem, a simple thing, is the face masks. There are 6 different nurses in this practice, and of the 6 nurses, we've got 4 different masks. So it's not a case of one mask fits all. You know, I have one type of mask. My 2 nurses that are out there at the moment have different masks each. So again, just working out what everyone needs for the week ahead, we've got to look at. It's almost like starting a dental practice again. You can tell I'm a dentist because I keep trying to keep my hands still. I'm sorry about that. We've had to look at patients, look at what they need, and then look at which nurse is going to nurse with me. Have we got the right protective gear for her? If not, then we have to swap her out and put another nurse in. So it's logistically it's a nightmare. But the protective gear, we're getting that from the government. So we know that at the moment we've got a supply coming in, and as I say, they've been great. We've got orders that we've got to put through, and so it's a bit of a headache.
And oddly, we are living in a situation where we have no new cases, with potentially, you know, you're more likely to get a cold or something, you know, whatever. And you've always put yourself at risk, and that makes sense. You've been that closely. Yeah. I mean, do you see a time when it will return then, do you think, just to a normal, or do you think we'll always be a bit more protected?
At the moment, we've got a new virus that we don't understand. So once the understanding comes in, you know, is it passed from close personal contact with people talking? Is it not passed that way? Is it kind of droplets that land on a surface and then people touch the surface and then it's transmitted orally that way? So until they can find out exactly how it is transmitted, we've got to take those extra precautions to ensure that we're safe. The other problems that people seem to have forgotten, dentists have always thought about HIV, hepatitis, tuberculosis, norovirus, you know, and the protective gear that we've used in the past has been sufficient for that. So we see a point where, you know, once we understand this virus more, the fact that the sort of space suits and the big masks and the visors, you know, may not be needed, because they'll go, actually, you know, the transmission isn't that way after all. But at the moment, you know, nobody wants to take the chance and take that extra risk.
For some time, obviously, priority has got to be the thing for people who've got issues that have been building up. Do you see, I mean, people in your calendar who just had a checkup, will they now still be pushed off into the future, or how are you going to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, well, fortunately, patients that have had checkups should be fine for 6 months. So we can delay their next checkup 7 months, 8 months if we need to. We can, if anyone a patient might have had a checkup a week ago, well, obviously not at the moment, and then they suddenly break a tooth. So that's one of those situations where at the moment it's not just a simple case of, right, I'll get you in and I'll put a filling on that. We need to get them back in, do an urgent assessment to, is it just a filling? Is it going to be a crown? Is it going to be something more involved? So a lot of my patients that we've done checkups on recently, but they're in the middle of treatment, we're getting them back for an assessment. We're not charging them for that assessment, because what I'm not sure about is have things changed in the last 3 months? You know, and again, that comes back to the protective gear supply. You know, if a patient needed one filling 3 months ago and they're having issues somewhere else, are we going to do one filling and then get them back again for the other filling, or are we going to try and consolidate treatment so that we're only using one lot of protective gear, but we can do the 2 fillings at the same time? We were saying about the dentists haven't put their prices up. What we are asking for is a contribution from patients towards the protective gear, because you know, you're looking at nearly £40 of protective gear for every treatment. Yeah. So there's a big hit there that really, you know, we can't sort of stomach.
It sounds like you'd have a tipping jar almost.
Yeah, well, almost. We're going to let everybody know before they come in.
Yeah.
But it's not. We all of us have managed to get the price down, you know. But it was quite scary before we started to look at the procedures and the opening up. You know, can we get the kit? How much is it going to cost? And like you said before, you know, can we run a profitable business again? You know. And
where are we finally with the UK? I mean, because we're ahead of the curve and that sort of thing. You were following NHS England's advice, I suppose. Are you ahead of the curve, or are you exactly on the curve, or what?
We're in a better situation than the UK dentists. Yeah. The Manx people have done a brilliant job in controlling this and suppressing this. So we are ahead of them. So the risk to the Manx dentists and the staff, if you like, is probably almost negligible. But we're still, again, because we know it's there, it's out there in the world. So we're being careful. And that the safety is the paramount thing. I know dentists in the UK that have gone back to work. They were allowed to start this Monday, but they've gone back and again, they're not doing any routine treatment. You know, they're just doing emergencies. They're just clearing the backlog of emergencies over the next sort of couple of weeks. But they're in the same situation as us, that they're saying, okay, if I can get rid of my emergencies and deal with my emergencies after that, in order for the practice to stay open, in order for us to pay the nurses, in order for us to sort of earn a living, we have to start doing routine treatment, because dentists have always said dentistry is all about prevention. You know, it's spotting problems before they arrive. We don't want to wait for patients to knock on the door with toothache. You know, and again, I mean, I'm almost laughing. Knock on the door is now a thing. You know, we're restricted in it. We need more staff in the surgeries or around the surgeries to run between surgeries, to clean the surgeries, to prepare things. But we need less staff in reception. So we're kind of asking patients, like I said, either phone or email your practice. And you may not get a phone call, or you may not get a response straight away, because obviously the staffing numbers are down. Just a knock-on effect, I've got 3 nurses with small children. And of course, you know, childcare is an issue for them because they have relatives that may be, you know, isolating and shielding still. So normally it would be, oh, my mum will look after the little one. So there's all these extra problems that we never thought of that now, you know, okay, well, we'll use this nurse for this procedure, or we'll use this nurse until 3 o'clock. And so it's such a headache that we never thought.
Anyway, welcome back.
Thank you.
You are, as I said, a well-viewed person on our site. and I think you've given a lot of clarity there for people who now know there's a way forward, thank you. Goodness.
Yeah, things are moving. You know, the understanding from my patients has been great, you know, across the island. So I've got to say a big thank you to everybody there. And I have to say, we said before, I mean, I'm the secretary of the Isle of Man Dental Association. You know, this isn't me. You know, there's Byron's the president. He's been working hard getting all the dentists together. Giovanni, who's a dentist down in Castletown, he's been working through the operating procedure well into the night. And Rob and Pauline up in Ramsey, you know, they've been finding protective gear. They've been working through systems as well, looking at other countries. So, you know, there's a load of us that have all pulled together. It isn't me. You know, the dentists have really come together on this, and yeah, we're trying as hard as we can, I promise.